Don't break the law, man. So what are the 6 laws of wealth? And why should you follow them? You want to follow them, Cashy? And here's how you apply these laws to the infinite banking concept. That's the trick. So in today's video, what I want to do is I want to cover it all. You see, it changed my life, and I guarantee you it will change yours as well. But before we jump into that, we got to cover some really important things right now, like you need to subscribe to this channel. And you don't want to miss what I put out next, because I'm putting good stuff out all the time. So when you see that notification bell, smash that bell. Lazy Cash didn't like the bell being smashed. And then talk about this to your friends. So let's talk about where the laws of wealth come from, and I'm going to also recommend a book. The laws come from a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. You see, they were the laws of gold. So let's bring them into modern day time with the first law of wealth. Keep at least 10% of your income. This is saving. Every $10 you earn, keep $1. So when that comes over to the infinite banking concept, you see your whole life insurance policy, the specially designed one, serves as your savings vehicle. So when you make your premium deposits, a portion goes to the cash value of the policy, which then grows over time. See, this aligns well with the first law of wealth, which emphasizes the saving portion of your income. See, it's not about make more, spend more. It's about make more, save more, keep more. That's the first law of wealth. Which brings me to the second law of wealth, which only can happen after the first law is performed. You see, the second law of wealth is to put your savings to work for you. When you're going to put your money to work for you, it's different than you working for money. A lot of people think that working for money is the only way. But let me remind you, there's 24 hours in the day, which means there's so few for you to trade. So the wealthy individuals that you know and the wealthy individuals you hear about, you see, at first they worked for their money, but they practiced the first law, so they saved money. And when they saved that money, they sent that money out to work, and they realized that their money can work harder for them than they can work for money. Does that make sense? So let's bring that over to the infinite banking concept and one of those specially designed whole lives. You see, the cash value inside the whole life policy typically earns a very modest but mostly guaranteed rate of return. And most of the insurance companies that we do these policies with, they're mutually owned. Actually, all of them are mutually owned, which means they pay dividends each year. Matter of fact, all the insurance companies that we work with have paid dividends every year the insurance company's been in existence, and that's over 100 years for every single one of them. They've never missed one. Not during the Great Depression, not during the Great Recession, not during the pandemic. So you get where I'm going from. But the dividends are largely based on the insurance company's profitability. If you think of any other stock dividend, that dividend is based on that stock company, that publicly traded company's performance. So a mutually owned insurance company does the same, but what they're going to do is return a portion of the unused premiums that people paid back to the policyholders. Because they're mutual, therefore the policyholders are like stockholders, but in a mutual company, they benefit. And because it's a return of unused premiums, guess what? They are potentially tax-free as long as the policy is designed properly, which we know how to do. So essentially, your money's always working for you at a guaranteed interest rate plus the dividend, which means it's always compounding. And compound interest, says Albert Einstein, is the 8th wonder of the world, the most powerful thing in the universe. So when your money's working for you inside of a whole life, the unique thing about this second law of wealth is it allows your money to work for you, earning interest, compound interest, while your money's working for you a second time. Now let me explain that. You see, in the policy, in a specially designed whole life policy, you can put the money into the policy, and then you can take a loan against your policy. In other words, the insurance company will advance part of your death benefit to you to use today. And your cash value, which is still compounding, just serves as collateral. So your money never actually leaves your account, so it always continues to work for you, while your money then is in your hands to go work for you again, in whatever investment you want to put it in, whether it's private lending, buying cars and recapturing the money from the car payments, paying off debts, or buying real estate or other investments. You see, your money gets to work for you 2 times on the same dollar. So that brings us to the third law of wealth. Avoid debt. The poor pay interest. Now, I don't mean to say it in a bad, derogatory way, but the poor pay interest, while the rich earn interest. Just let that sink in for a second. As it relates to the infinite banking concept, you can become your own banker. By borrowing against your cash value of your policy and by taking loans, you actually are avoiding taking loans from traditional banks. Think about this. You create your own banking system. You then can use the money without losing interest on that money, and you can then take that and use that money to buy a car. And then instead of making a car payment like you do today to somebody else's bank, you make that same car payment, principal and interest, no different than what you do today, but you pay it back to your bank. What is your bank? A specially designed and engineered whole life. So when we talk about the third law of wealth, essentially we're talking about protecting your wealth. Because law number one, you saved the money. Law number two, you made the money go to work for you. Law number three, we got to protect that money. And to protect that money, that means it's got to be in your control. The infinite banking concept is effectively the process of taking back the banking functions in your life, controlling all aspects. You earn, you use, you earn again. It's a circle, folks. Your money starts on the left in the policy, moved over to the right, buys the car, pays off debt. You're effectively eliminating the use of traditional banks. You're using your bank. It happens slowly, but it happens faster and faster because of compounding. And instead of paying them, you just pay yourself back. I know it sounds like I'm repeating myself, but you understand in doing the infinite banking concept, you are effectively protecting your wealth. And the last thing about the third law of wealth, and I always say this is the easiest way to remember it. It's nice to earn money. It's nice to become rich. It's nice to become wealth, but the secret of being wealthy is not giving the money back. So always invest in things you know, like, and understand. Let's move on to the fourth law of wealth. Don't speculate in get-rich-quick schemes. In other words, don't be greedy. Invest in solid businesses that you know, like, and understand from the other law. But when you do that, make sure you keep this long term. So as it relates to the infinite banking concepts, whole life insurance policies are seen as stable, long-term financial vehicles. They don't offer the promise of quick, high returns, but rather they provide slow and steady growth. It's kind of like meditation. Slow and steady growth. Just let it go. Just let it all go. Anyway, I don't know where that was going, but slow and steady growth always wins the race. You remember the tortoise and the hare? Exactly. Never be greedy, because in the wealth building game, it's about being realistic. Because when you get greedy, your money will be yours, no more. Which brings us to the fifth law of wealth. This is my favorite law of wealth. It's all about giving. You see, the fifth law of wealth is about giving your best stuff away for free. Now, I know that sounds weird, but if you give, you get. Zig Ziglar said it best. If you help enough people get what they want, you shall get what you want. But in order to do that, in order to give your best stuff away for free, you got to invest in yourself. You got to understand what you're giving away for free. You got to have that base, that knowledge. Which brings me to the infinite banking concept yet again. Now, the infinite banking concept itself doesn't directly involve investing in skills or education. You can get all that for free. That's why we make these videos. Let's pause for a second. Matter of fact, as I talk about skills and education, you're probably thinking, oh, he's going to try to sell me some coaching. Nope. You know what I want you to do? I want you to hit the subscribe button right now, because why not disrupt this whole video? Because here is how you learn. Hit the subscribe button and then that little bell, smash that bell, and you'll be notified every time I put out new free education and new free content. So back to the skills and education you'll need. It does help to have a stable financial base of money and also education and knowledge when it comes to this. But it's quite simple. You see, the resources you need is investing in yourself. That's what you need. You need to understand how this concept works in relation to the infinite banking concept. You see, first and foremost, the infinite banking concept isn't a product you can buy, which means it's really a skill you need to learn. It's a skill you need to get educated on. So let's start with a stable base. How did you get that base? I'm giving what I've learned to you. Do you see how this law works, the fifth law of wealth? I'm giving to you. And because I'm giving to you, somehow that will come back to me, but I'm not focused on the give back. Maybe you'll want to set up one of those specially designed whole life policies after you learn how this can change your life and solve your problems. And maybe because I'm giving you the knowledge, you will call me and my team. That's how this works. But again, you need to understand how this works before you can give this to somebody that you care about. I'm giving it to you because I care about your financial success. You might be like, what do you care about me? I do. I truly know that this concept will change your life. How do I know that? It changed mine. But it didn't just change mine. I have effectively helped 8,000 people, actually more than 8,000 people, change their financial situations because I learned how to do this. And then I gave it to you for free. I gave it to all of them for free. You see, that's this law, giving. And if you can master this, if you can use the infinite banking concept yourself to solve your problems, then now you've got a story, and you can take that story and you can go tell that story to thousands of people to help thousands of people change their lives. Do you see how the butterfly effect really works? One little piece of knowledge told to one other person can have a butterfly effect. Brent Kessler taught me how this worked. I have effectively gone out and showed this to hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions of people, and I have helped over 8,000 people change their lives. Now that's making an impact. And I'm not patting myself on the back because you know what I'm doing? I'm passing the torch to you. I'm giving you these laws of wealth which were derived from the richest man in Babylon, from the laws of gold so long ago, but they're still effective today. But this fifth law of wealth, the act of giving, is something you absolutely must master before you then can go out and change people's lives. And the sixth law of wealth is all about creating a legacy. It's also about safeguarding and growing your fortune through diversification and insurance, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the infinite banking concept, which, yes, does use a product called the whole life insurance policy, but it's specially designed. But it does provide a death benefit, does it not? When you die and go on to a better place, I like to say when you graduate, what happens when you own a specially designed whole life policy? I'm waiting. What happens? Doesn't the insurance company write a check to your loved ones, your beneficiaries? And doesn't that check pass on tax-free? And isn't that check that passes on a leverage up from the amount you put with the insurance company? Yes, yes, and yes. You see, this is what the legacy piece is. See, when you learn how to use a specially designed whole life policy for building a private banking system, and then applying a concept called the infinite banking concept, taking back the banking function so you no longer need the banks and you no longer are leaking by giving banks all those interest payments for all the things you buy, drive, and own. You effectively write those same checks you write today to them back to yourself, which is why it's called your private banking system. It doesn't say their private banking system. It doesn't say Bank of America's private banking system. It says your private banking system, which all in of itself is your legacy. Because once you learn this, you can pass this on to your loved ones. I did. I literally wrote a letter to my daughter teaching her these 6 laws of wealth through parables in a TEDx talk of another. You can watch it. Just go to YouTube and type in a letter to my daughter, Rethink Money. That's my TEDx talk, teaching everything I just showed you. When I'm long gone from this earth, what I teach her, she will teach her kids. Her kids will then teach their kids. Their kids will teach their kids. That is what creating a legacy is. And let me just hit one final thing on this. I want you to think about what you'll be remembered for. You will not be remembered for the car in your garage. You won't be remembered for the house that the car is sitting in the garage of. You won't be remembered for how much money you had in your bank. You won't be remembered for the fancy clothes or glasses or Gucci purses and shoes or whatever you have. None of that will be remembered. You'll be remembered for the things that you left behind. You see, when we go on, when we leave this earth, we don't take anything with us. But it's what we leave behind that creates the legacy. And what I like to think of as a legacy is what I teach my daughter that helps her live a better life, which then allows her to then teach this to her children. Because throughout life, we've been taught a lot of lies about money, haven't we? Isn't it time that we start changing that? Isn't it time that we start teaching our children how money really works? That's what this is. This is the 6th law of wealth. Create your own legacy. Whew, wow. We've covered some serious ground. I thought I was going to cry on that last one. Diving into the 6 laws of wealth and how they tie back to the infinite banking concept, from the saving part to making your money work for you, to protecting your money, to the giving aspects and not being greedy, and to creating your legacy. These laws can really change the game for you. And they will, guaranteed, change your finances. So are you currently following any of these laws of wealth? Or is this your first time hearing about them? Drop your comments below. Have you read The Richest Man in Babylon? But if you've read it, have you applied it? Now, one last time, don't ever forget to apply this. Right now, hit the subscribe button. Yep, just apply that. It's just a little click. Yep, hit that subscribe button. And then right above, there's a little bell. I don't know. Let's try this again. Smash that bell. You see, I create a lot of these really good videos, and there's one in particular I'd love for you to watch. It's right here or right here. It's called How to Design an IBC Policy Updated. Check that video out, because that will show you behind the curtain on how we build these policies and why these are not the whole life policy that your broke ass brother tried selling you. I missed the beep. Broke ass. You picked that one up, right? Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. Thanks for joining me today. I am hoping that this will change your financial future, but it will only change your financial future if you apply what you just learned, because knowledge is nothing without the application. I'll see you on the next one.